Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to continue with rerouting, and today we're doing route filtering and redirection. So the last videos we saw more of summarization, okay, and how we can enable the multicast, okay, and unicast rerouting. So today we're going to see how we actually enabled few more routers. Okay, I actually powered on a few more routers, router 3, 7, and 4. These routers have not yet been we're going to router 3. I only configure the interfaces to show IP brief. Okay, for router 3, I only configure the interfaces. Okay, especially the loopback interfaces. I added loopback interfaces that we don't have on the diagram because we're going to use that for filtering. And also I configure the interface linking router 3 and the neighboring routers. Okay, then these are the loopback interface that we already have here. Okay, these ones we have. That's for router 3. And for router 4, for router 3 as well, let me just check. I didn't configure routing yet. So run. Okay, so on router 3 there's no routing configured, only the interfaces have been configured. The same thing for router 4 and router 7. I'm going to router 7. I just show IP interface brief. Okay, so only see the loopback interface and the interface connecting router 7 and its neighbors. Okay, exactly as you see here on the screen. And so routing is not configured as well. So let me just do show run. Okay, so there's no routing configured. Okay, on router 7, the same thing on router 4 is not very important. Router 4 is not very important for now. We're going to use it later on, but I just want to show you as well. The 4 show IP interface brief. So just a loopback interface and the interface connecting router 4 to its neighbors. And the routing as well is not configured. We can actually do that check the dynamic routing on any of these routers. Okay, anyways, so what we want to do today, we want to focus on how we could filter this route so that they don't get into the routing table of router 1. Okay, so since rerouting is not yet enabled here, if I go into router 1, I wouldn't see none of these routes. Okay, so if we're going to router 1, I should not see any of those routes coming from router 3 because rerouting is not yet configured on it. So if I do show IP route rip, okay, so we don't see any 203 dot. If I do 203.3, okay, none of those routes is appearing. Okay, and the same thing if I do even 33 because okay, that's not also appearing. So now we're going to enable rerouting on router 3. Okay, and then we're going to see how we can filter those routes, some of those routes coming from router 3 on router 1. Okay, so let's go into router 3 and enable rerouting. So I'll just say configure terminal. Rip version 2. Mode the summary network. Okay, just like that. So it's enabled. Save that. Clear IP route. Okay. Now I'm going to go to router 1 and I should start seeing routes coming from router 3. Okay. I'm going to go to router 1. I'm going to push that by the side. If I do show IP route rip. Okay. So now I'm seeing routes coming from router 3. I didn't even show the full global table. Okay. So yeah, so I'm seeing routes coming from router 3. So what I'm interested in, 203.33. So these routes, I don't want them to appear on R1 routing table. Okay. Well, not all of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we can filter the even routes. Okay, like you see, 203.33.4, that's even. 203.33.6, that's even. Okay, so we're going to filter these even routes and leave only the odd routes. The odd routes is going to be 203.33.5 and 203.33.7. Those routes we're going to enable, we're going to allow them on the route 1 global table. Okay, only the even routes are going to be filtered out. So how do we do that? In order to do that, actually, there are many, you could either do it, filter it out, G01 interface of router 1. Okay, but the problem with that is that those routes can still go this way. So this is not the best interface, except you do that on 2 interfaces at the same time, which is not the best way. So we can also do it here, filter here, but if we do that, those routes could still as well come in this way. Okay, on G02. Okay, since the only reason why it wouldn't happen yet is because this I haven't enabled RIP on this router. So RIP would not go this way, not this way, because I haven't enabled here. But I'm just giving you an idea on what happened if I actually choose this interface. Okay, so I think the best interface for that, as long as we see those routes on this on router 2, as long as we see the routes coming from router 3 on router 2, so the best interface will be G00 of router 2. Okay, that way those routes coming from router 3 will not figure on the router 1 global routing table. Okay, so for that, let's go into router 2 and see if we are seeing routes coming from router 3. Okay, let's go into router 2, sorry. So go into router 2, show IP route rip. I'm just going to filter the routes that we want to eliminate. We want to target router 1. Okay, 203.33. Okay. Okay, so IP route. Okay, so those routes, we do see them on router 2. So since we see those routes on router 2, we're going to filter on the G00 interface of router 2, the even routes. Okay, we're going to filter them so that they don't get into the router 1 global routing table. Okay, so we're going to, there are actually 2 ways of doing it. But the first method, we're going to use the access list. Okay, just like we did for route summarization. This is similar, but a little bit different. Okay, so these are the routes from router 3 that we want to filter. Okay, but so if I take just the first route here, okay, so the first octet 203 is the same for all the routes. The second octet is the same for all the routes. Now from the third octet, then you start seeing the changes. Okay, so we have 4.0 And 4.0 is, as we saw in summarization, it's 0.000.1.0.0. Okay, so what makes this even route similar to this even route is that on the last octet, on the last byte, the last bit, okay, of the last octet, there's a 0. Okay, the last bit or the last of the third octet is a 0. Okay, this is what makes this route and this route similar. Okay, so based on that, because if you look at the odd routes, the last bit of the third octet is a 1. Okay, we don't care about what comes before. We don't care about that. Okay, but the last bit of the third octet has to be 1 for odd routes. Okay, but now since we're filtering the even routes, we're going to just take the last bit of the last of the third octet. Okay, so what does that translate to? So every byte has 8 bits. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to turn to 1 any bit that doesn't have to be changed. Okay, so there are 8 bits altogether. The only bit that has to be changed is the last bit. Okay, so we put a 0 because it corresponds to the last bit that turns this octet into an even. Okay, so all the other bits, all the other 7 bits, we put them as 1. Okay, now each value of each decimal value of a bit, okay, will correspond to, like, the first decimal value of the bit corresponds to 128, as we saw in route summarization. So plus 64 times 1 plus 32 times 1 plus 16 times 1 plus 8 times 1 plus 4 times 1 plus 2 times 1. Okay, that gives 254. Only the last bit of the third octet remains unchanged. So if you multiply it 1 times 0, it gives 0. That's why, but if it was 1, it would give 255. Okay, and with that, we are calculating the supplement mask of the third octet. Okay, we're calculating the supplement mask of the third octet. This is the third octet here. Okay, so with that in mind, how do we filter that route? So we're going to create our access list. Okay, we're going to create that access list on router 2, as we said. Okay, this is the best interface. Router 2 G00, the best interface for that. And we're going to say access list, give it number 1. We're going to deny, okay, because we don't want those even routes. Deny 203.33.0. Why is it 0? Because we don't care about what comes before the 0, okay, because it's going to turn into an even octet. Okay, this one is going to turn into an even octet. So we'll put a 0 here. Okay, now the last 0 we didn't talk about because it remains 0. Okay, so that's how you calculate that. That's how you calculate it. And now we're just going to copy and paste on the router 2. I'm going to copy exactly as this here. Go to router 2. Configure terminal. Let me just be sure I copied. Okay. Now the access list is and this is the when you give an access, when you have an access list, okay, there's always a permit, explicit what do you call it, implicit statement. Okay, this is the implicit statement, because if you don't do this, it's going to block everything. So there's always that's why I add this access list 1, deny this, and then you have to add an implicit statement. All right, so now after creating our access list, we have to apply it on the router. Okay, so router rip version 2 distribute list 1, which corresponds to the access list, and it's going to be now instead of in interface, it's not going to be in interface G00, it's going to be out interface G00, okay? I think when I created this, I was thinking of doing the same thing on the router one, because you could still do the same, exactly same thing, but going in interface G00 of router one. So this one is going to be out, okay? It's going to be out. So I'm just going to copy this. Go on router 2. Copy again because I think okay, copy. Okay, that's done. Now let's double check that the configuration is right there. Let's do show on interface G00. Okay. So what did we say? Oh no, no, I put the no. I should check on the route. Okay. Okay. Show IP, show access list, access list. One. Okay, our access list is there. This is the access that we just created. Okay, and it actually already has matches. And show run. Okay, so we have our access list applied here. This is list one out interface G00. Okay, so it's there. All I need to do right now is to make sure to clear IP route. Okay, now let's go to R1 to see if it's working. Okay, so on R1, this is what we saw before, right? So now let's check again. Let's check what if we're seeing that. Okay, sometimes it takes some time. I'm going to go clear IP IP route. It takes some time. Sometimes with routing you have to be a little bit patient. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna wait a little bit. All right, guys, I had to make a little pause of the video just so that the route should converge. So right now we can see this we are on router one. See, we filtered out the even routes. Okay, so now we see only the odd routes, exactly as we as intended. Now I'm going to ask. I'm not going to do this, but if you're following me, if you've been following me all along, I'm going to ask you to try this by yourself. Now, suppose we want to filter the odd routes instead. Okay, if we want to filter the odd routes instead, what do we do? Okay, so I leave that to you. You could try that by yourself. So in this one, we filtered out the even routes. Okay, so we filtered out the even routes. So if it's odd routes, okay, how do we do that? Okay. So that's you try that by yourself, but if you follow this one, it's going to be easy. Actually, what you need to do is just to, instead of 0, it will be 1. Okay, the last octet. Anyways, I just gave you a hint, so you can try that by yourself. And now let's go to our second method of filtering using prefix list. So the second method of our filtering is going to be we're going to use prefix list instead of access list. Is the good thing about prefix list is you can filter not only by the subnet mask, but you can also filter by the subnet itself, by network statement itself. So I'm going to first delete I'm going to disable the the configuration I made on the router 2. Okay, so let me just do show run. Okay, I'm going to disable this one, and also even with the access list, just so that there should be no interference. Configure terminal. The rip, no. I'm going to enable, disable, and remove this one. Exit. In fact, I can even do no access list one. Just remove everything. Okay. Now, with that in mind, let me just save, because I don't want our next exercise to kind of interfere with the previous one. So I'm going to do clear IP route. Okay, I'm going to on router 1. I should be able to see all the routes now. Okay, so the even route and the odd routes are now all visible on router 1. Okay, so now the next exercise we want to, if I do show IP route rip. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so these routes that you see on router 1, okay, 33.1.4, 33.1.32, 33.1.64, all these routes are also coming from router 3. Okay, of course you don't see them here on the diagram, but as I said, I told you I configured those loopback interfaces just for this purpose of this exercise. I do show IP route. No, show IP brief. Okay, so these are the routes here. Okay, so we want this route filtered on router 1. Okay, we don't want to see those routes on router 1, but this time we're going to use loopback interface. We're going to use a prefix list. Okay, so what do we want to achieve is we want to eliminate all routes, okay, from /22 to /24. Okay, or no, let's say from /24 and above. Okay, anything from /24 inclusive and above, we want to eliminate those routes. Okay, so this our exercise here. Let me show you. Okay, so on R3 we want to block all the 33.1. Okay, render network with prefixes greater than or equal to 24. Okay, so that's our exercise. And to achieve that, we can do that on R3, but I choose to do it on R2 again. Okay, I choose to do on R2. Why? Because we have this directly connected interface. Okay, going straight to R1. Okay, so I could do it here since RIP is not enabled yet. This interface, I could still do it on R3, but I choose to do it here just for the purpose of clarity. Okay, because once RIP gets enabled here, whatever you configured here may not work because the route could be like this instead of like this. All right, so that's why I prefer to implement it on router 2 again. So it's going to be router 2, and it's going to be out interface G00. Okay, so it's going to be out interface G00 here. All right, so I'm just going to copy and paste. This one is easy. We don't have to calculate anything else. We just, you see, IP prefix list. Here I give a name, then I deny 33.1.0, okay, .0/16, okay, and then greater than 24, greater than or equal to 24. That's what we said here, greater than or equal to 24, okay. And then we also have to give implicit rule, implicit statement, IP prefix list list 1, permit 0/0/0.0.0/0 less than or equal to 32. Okay, so that's how you do it, and you just copy paste. Just going to copy here, go on router 2, router 2. Okay, okay, all right. And then we apply it on the router. I said it's going to be out interface gig 00. Okay, now we go to R1 and see if the magic is working. I'm going to say clear AP route. Okay. Now let's go to router 1 and see, because previously on router 1 we're seeing 33.1, okay, .4.0 /22/23/24/25/20. Now we should not be seeing these ones. Okay, so let's do it. Let's check it. Okay, take some time to clear AP route. Okay, do it again. Take some time. All right, so after a little bit of waiting, it's converged. So now we can see we can only see routes from the /22 and /23. Okay, so /24, 25, and 26 have been eliminated. Okay, now we have a smaller routing table, and for route filtering, I'm going to stop here because I didn't want to make this video too long, but that's it for this for route filtering. I'm going to, in the next video, we're going to do something else. Let me just show you. Next video, we're going to still use our diagram here. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that if traffic is going across our network and that this link between R2 and R7 and link between R7 and R3, they have a higher bandwidth. So the traffic goes through this link with higher bandwidth instead of a link with the lower bandwidth, low speed. Okay, so it's going to be the focus of our next video. It should be short, but hopefully shouldn't make it that too long. So yeah, we're going to kind of influence the path. So traffic comes here or comes this way instead of going straight from R3 to R2 or from R2 to R3. It has to go this way because it sees that the bandwidth is better. Okay, so that's, we're going to basically influence the traffic. Anyways, that's the focus of our next video. And so for this video concerning route filtering is done. We've seen that it's working. So we're going to thanks so much for listening, and we'll talk to you the next time.